30 of the 32 teams have now played their first week of the NFL football, and it is time for us to recap all of it. With me, as always, is Tossie, the football Greek, and
Scored the most
man,
points in my league this week.
just had to put that in there. But what an adventurous week, man. Everything from whether or not Ja'Marr Chase was going to suit up and play for the Bengals, spoiler alert, he did, to just all the expectations that people have. I mean, a player got arrested this morning and then suited up and balled his heart out in a win, right? So a lot of storylines. We'll get to all of them right now. If you are excited about everything that we're going to be talking about today on this show, make sure to like and subscribe to the PTW Podcast YouTube channel and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else that you listen to podcasts. But we're going to start with this. Cowboys Nation. Jerry Jones told you not to worry. He told you he had a plan, and everyone freaked out because they weren't doing anything. They didn't sign any free agents. They brought Zeke back. They, were they going to extend CeeDee Lamb or not? Like what was going to happen? They extend CeeDee Lamb, and then, in my opinion, seemingly out of nowhere, Dak gets an extension. Because
$60 million a year.
Dak gets his extension because everyone was fully anticipating that, they were going to let this year ride out. Dak was going to go into free agency. Trey Lance was the future of the Dallas Cowboys. Oof. I feel bad for Trey Lance, man. But here we are. Dak signs an extension. $240 million for 4 years. Comes out to $60 million a year. Dak Prescott is officially the first player in NFL history to make $60 million a year, higher than any other quarterback in the NFL. Tossie, is Dak Prescott worth $60 million a year?
He's a good quarterback. He makes plays. He does, but he's not the guy that steps out in that big moment. And he's been in multiple playoff games, and he just doesn't win the big game. And so to make the guy the highest paid ever, right, at $60 million a year, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing for the Cowboys roster and their future outlook. When you're talking about, they just paid CeeDee Lamb record money. They paid Dak. They've got Micah Parsons coming up.
Micah Parsons is coming up. Yep.
And I think he's pretty much good as gone. So, I mean, I think with just paying this guy that much money, I don't know if that's the best thing for the Cowboys' future. I think I'm happy as a Niners fan because I'm not threatened by them to beat us in any way in the next 5 years with Dak at the helm.
Well, I'll tell you this much, and when the Dolphins were going through contract negotiations with Tua, and as you soon will experience going through contract negotiations with Brock Purdy, I'm sure, the question becomes, is this person worth this much money, right? You can make all the arguments in the world that Tua Tagovailoa is not worth the money that he's now getting paid with the new contract that he's getting and all that kind of stuff. But I have some stats to talk about today that might prove that maybe he is worth it. But the second question is, what's the next option? Because it's definitely not Trey Lance, right? We joke, but Trey Lance is not. It's not the next set of. But in all seriousness, who is it, right? Quarterbacks don't just fall off trees. You get a Caleb Williams is a once in a generation type situation, or a Joe Burrow is a once in a lifetime situation. But those are guys that go to the struggling teams, and the Dallas Cowboys have never truly been the struggling team. They don't pick first overall. They don't pick third overall. They don't pick fifth overall. They pick 20th overall, 22nd overall. They're always in that higher ranking as far as drafting quarterbacks goes. And then the question is, okay, fine. Forget that. Free agency. Who are you going to get? If it doesn't work out with Aaron Rodgers, maybe Aaron Rodgers goes to the Cowboys. Who knows?
Well,
That might be a match, and
hey,
you
Darnold,
know, and well, that one, well, yeah, we'll get to him in a second. But Aaron Rodgers could theoretically have a get reunited with Mike McCarthy, right? So like
Mhm.
those are
Mhm.
questions
I
that
don't
I'm
know.
sure
That's
were
something that
brought
he's
up.
willing to do.
I don't think so either. But I think that the market is getting to a point right now where it's in my opinion it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, like this is what's happening. These quarterbacks are
Yeah.
making this, ridiculous money where the results doesn't necessarily correlate to the amount of money that they're making, but like what's the other option?
Yeah,
You
they
know what I
don't have
mean?
an option. I mean,
That
unless someone's willing to take less. Like, I'm hoping that Brock won't want 61 million a year,
yeah,
like
you're hoping he pulls
next
like a
year.
Brady and goes like, you know
Yeah.
what? Like give
It's
me
like
a lower
maybe there's like
salary.
45, I'm like, that's still a ridiculous amount of money, right? So it's like,
Yeah, he's like
I know it's
that's cheap
15
now,
million less, right?
right?
Yeah, like 45
No,
million a
but
year.
these quarterbacks can get money off of
Crazy.
sponsorships, obviously back end deals, all that kind of stuff as well, guaranteed money, all that kind of stuff. But congratulations to Dak.
Yeah.
4 years
Congratulations.
to show that it's worth the
Can
contract,
you win a
right?
big game?
Let's see, Cowboys Nation. I
Yeah.
mean, they started off their
And they got
season.
embarrassed last year by the Packers, right? Just like,
I
come
mean,
on.
that was a big surprise. That was a huge
Yeah.
surprise. With Matt LaFleur, master game planner, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of things have to go right in order for that to happen for the Packers. But speaking of the Packers, this is a good segue. Packers played on Friday night.
Hmm.
They're
They
rallying
lost
from
to the
behind.
Eagles.
They're trying to figure something out. They're trying to do like a
Hmm.
last second thing. And with 10 seconds left in the game,
Yeah.
Jordan Love goes down with an injury. It's
Yeah.
speculated that Jordan Love is out for 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah. Sprained
It's
MCL, right?
sprained MCL. It's not a
Mhm.
tear, which is
Yeah.
great news. Doesn't need surgery or anything like that, but he's out 3 to 6 weeks. Best case scenario, 3 weeks. Worst case scenario, he's not coming back till week 8, week 7,
Yeah.
week 8,
Packers are
right?
done. They're done.
You think so?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, Malik Willis, bro. Come on. That guy
Yeah,
is
Malik
terrible.
Willis,
He's
that
terrible.
didn't work out. Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
not going
And
to do anything. They'll be lucky to win a game while he's out. So
do
they're
you
looking at
think do you
0
think
4
do you
at
think
a
the Packers
minimum.
maybe like, break glass in case of emergency, try to find someone that hasn't been picked up yet, someone
Colin
that's like
Kaepernick.
maybe, desperate
He's
times,
a
man.
Wisconsin kid. He did grow
Desperate
up as a
times,
Packers fan. Yeah.
you know?
I mean, who else is out there? I mean, the NFL, the talent in the NFL at quarterback, especially backups, is terrible. The Niners have a decent guy in Josh Dobbs, but look, when he got in like big game situation last year, like he just kind of he wasn't able to come through and win. He was with Minnesota, and then they ended up just benching him, and then now they've completely moved off of him and they let him go, and then now Sam Darnold, another backup, is now starting when it's supposed to be JJ McCarthy, right? So,
Yeah.
the talent pool of the backup QBs is not the greatest, and so I don't think there's anything out there that the Packers can find that they're going to be able to, like, okay, we're going to win 3 of the next 4, even 2 of the next 4 games, type of things.
I'm looking at the Packers schedule right now. And so week 2, Colts at Lambeau. Week 3 at Titans. Week 4, Vikings at Lambeau. Week 5 at Rams. Week 6, Arizona at Lambeau. Week 7, Texans at Lambeau. So you're saying you don't think the Packers win a single one of those games? Colts, Titans, Vikings. Colts at home, Titans on the road, Vikings at home, Rams on the road, Cardinals at home, Texans at home.
The only game they have a chance in is Tennessee, because Tennessee and Will Levis. I mean, Will Levis is terrible. I mean, there's no way they should have lost that game today to the Bears, and he was so bad, and they were so bad on offense that he basically let Chicago's defense win them the game. And Caleb Williams was terrible.
You don't
So
think they have a
that's the only
chance
game.
against the Colts at home?
No, not
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay.
Colts are a good team, and I mean, we can talk.
Oh, I'm
we're
not
gonna
saying
talk
I'm
about
not saying
this.
anything bad. I'm just saying home game, Lambeau,
Yeah, no,
home field. You
mm-mm,
know, they've got
nothing.
Matt LaFleur. They've got, you know, they got option. They can figure out the quarterback situation. Hopefully, they can figure out the quarterback situation by then. But if it's
Yeah,
if it's me if it's it's Malik, that's not looking great.
no. That's the only game that they could potentially win with Malik Willis, because Will Levis, oh man,
All right, all
he just
right.
wasn't good.
There was a whole lot more football this week. So we're gonna break down as much as we possibly can. Week 1 results. What a week it's already been. I started the day thinking, oh no, here we go, 0-1. And I finished the day thinking, thank goodness 1-0. We'll get to the Dolphins in a second. But we're going to start with the Thursday night game, the game that the season opener, Chiefs and Ravens Thursday night, back and forth contest. I honestly didn't expect it to be as back and forth as it was, but you know what? I will eat crow. I forget sometimes how good the Ravens are, and I don't know why I do.
How good Lamar
They're just not
is.
as sexy as the Chiefs, you know what I mean? But
No.
my goodness, they can play, and Lamar obviously, and
Yeah, he
Derrick
showed out.
Henry hasn't missed a beat. Like he's just like, it's like okay,
Yeah, I mean,
these guys, and of course the Ravens always have a great defense, and it's like, yeah.
mhm.
So what were your thoughts on the game? Did it meet expectations for you for a Thursday night opener?
I mean, it did. It did. I mean, honestly, we got what we expected, and like we talked about, we thought that Lamar needed to show up and show out, and he did.
He did.
I mean, they were a toe away from winning the game, essentially.
Literally, or tying the game at least.
Exactly. So, I mean, a guy that really stepped up for them, Isaiah Likely. I mean, obviously, a guy that people are going to want to
Huge
pick up in
game.
fantasy.
Huge game.
He outshined Mark Andrews coming back from an injury, and with their weapons, I can see Isaiah Likely being a thing. Like he's gonna be around. He's like kind of almost like a wide receiver. Like, he's quick, and they kind of get him on those out patterns, and he was just getting downfield. And maybe it was a game plan thing, but honestly, he looked good. So I would expect him to continue to be enrolled in that offense, and be a part of it. And they were a toe away, a white sneaker away, from
not even a
potentially
toe,
winning
man. It
that
was like
game.
it was like half a toe. It was so it was like barely there. I mean, he was out, but it was barely there.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a week 1, what an NFL
Yeah.
season premiere game, if you will. Like
Mahomes, man, that guy gets all the calls.
Here we go.
So annoying, bro.
Here we go.
So annoying.
Here we go.
Like, watching those games, like you're watching that, and you're just seeing all the penalties that aren't called, and just like, so irritating. But like we talked about too, Kelsey, he had a couple of catches, but like he kind of like shows that. I feel like he's on the decline, man. Like I feel like, they got a new weapon in Xavier Worthy.
Yes, dude. Xavier Worthy was awesome.
Speed, so
yeah,
that's going to be helpful for them. But
they finally got speed, man, because they were as good as they were last year. They were kind of a slow team, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
and now you
won the Super Bowl last year.
Now you get Xavier Worthy. And you get a
better team this year for sure.
Who for sure like has that speed factor in there. So props, man. I thought it was a really fun game to watch. Nice back and forth. I thought everything was great. Speaking of speed, segue into one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL, Tyreek Hill, on his way to the stadium this morning, gets pulled over for quote unquote reckless driving.
Yeah.
Dozens of eyewitnesses see him getting taken out of the car, or not taken, not forcibly, but he gets out of the car after being asked to get out of the car. Gets
they
detained.
Did throw him on the pavement face
they
down.
throw him on the pavement face down.
Yeah, cuff him.
All of this for quote unquote reckless driving. Yeah,
it was
super excessive. Apparently the one of the deputies or other of Miami-Dade police department is on administrative leave already because of the incident. Yeah. His teammate Calais Campbell comes up to support him, to offer to kind of see what's going on.
He got cuffed too.
They detain him.
Yeah, they were.
And
they
so
were on
you
one.
you texted me this morning. And my response was, of course. Like it can't start off on a good note for the Miami Dolphins. And sure enough, it was a slow start to the game. The first half,
Yeah.
Jacksonville was pretty much doing whatever they wanted offensively. Not so much defensively. Miami was having big plays. They just couldn't finish anything.
Yeah, Tua was overthrowing in the first half,
which is hilarious because the narrative has always been that he doesn't have the arm, that he always underthrows to Tyreek, underthrown. And meanwhile, he's overthrowing him. So it's like, okay, what else do you have to say about him now?
Yeah.
But apparently in halftime, Tua went off on everybody. Like before Mike McDaniel even had the opportunity to speak to the team, Tua called out Tyreek. He called out Raheem Mostert. He called out other players, and he was like, "You're not doing what I need you to do right now." And it fired the team up so much so that they scored 13 unanswered points in the second half. At halftime, it was 17-7 Jags, and the final score of the game was 20-17 Miami. They kept Jacksonville scoreless. Jacksonville was about to score a touchdown
fumble, ETN.
by ETN.
That was brutal.
And Javon Holland
Fantasy
knocks it out.
Everywhere.
Knocks it out. knocks it out at the 2-yard line and knocked it out. And amazing.
Awesome play.
Yeah, great. And so as a Dolphin fan, thoroughly enjoyed the season opening win. Thoroughly enjoy the fact that they are now 4-0 in season openers. But what I really want to show off is this stat right here, because this stat to me is a scary stat. Okay, so on this game, which I think everyone can argue was not Miami's best, they didn't play well at all. But they beat a team that's predicted by many to go to the playoffs, predicted by many to be great in their division, maybe win their division. Here you go. Tua Tagovailoa, 23 of 37, 336 yards and 1 touchdown. As of this recording, still the most passing most yards in week 1. All right. Tyreek Hill, 7 receptions, 130 yards, 1 touchdown.
Baller.
Jalen Waddle.
Love that guy.
Jalen Waddle, 5 receptions, 108 yards. They had 200-yard plus receivers. Tua threw for 336 yards and a touchdown. And it was a bad game.
Yeah.
That's the scary stat.
Yeah.
That's the scary stat.
H-N went off too.
And H-N went off. They didn't play well, and they had those stats.
Yeah.
That's the part that gets me excited as a Dolphin fan. Is like, they didn't. That's an off day for them. You know what I mean? So like, let's see how they do. Very quick turnaround against Buffalo. I've already gone on record on this podcast. If they lose against Buffalo, they're not winning the division. They're not winning. Maybe not in the division, but they're not ending the season. But they're not winning the division, right?
Yeah,
at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have Tyreek on my fantasy team, so I was stoked. So I had the little Tyreek I had the two out of Tyreek stack going on today. So
that 80-yard bomb,
loving that, and then
that 80-yard bomb
was great. And then
that play, by the way, by Javon Holland, ended up being a 14-point play, because if Jacksonville's about to score, they don't. Miami gets the touchback. They get the ball at the 20-yard line, and the very next play is that 80-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. So that one play resulted in 14, like a different 14-point swing, right? So
and then the other thing that for fantasy purposes, it looks like Devin Achane is
RB1.
RB1,
and RB1
is relegated to backup duties. He only had a few carries, and he didn't really look that as great as he did last year. I know we talked about, the disrespect. So it looks like that was a little bit warranted, maybe. But, unfortunately, Mostert might, just be RB2 this year. So, but, Achane, he looks great, and he had a big game. And then Jeff Wilson Jr., who almost was cut right by the team, which you were saying.
Correct.
And he looked just as good as Mostert, essentially, and got just
Jeff Wilson Jr. I remember when Miami picked him up. Excuse me. I remember when Miami picked him up from San Francisco.
The Niners.
And the first couple games he played for us, I was like, where has this guy been? This was a key. Like we really needed him. And then going into the offseason, there was everyone rightfully thought that he was going to get cut because we had Jalen Wright. We had this luxury of running backs at this point.
Jalen Wright was,
And Jeff Wilson Jr. showed up in camp. He played with a huge chip on his shoulder and absolutely earned his position on the team on the depth chart. And you see it manifest today. We're gonna move on because I want to continue to talk about other games. But as a Dolphin fan, very happy for 1-0. Fins up. We're moving forward. Okay, so
Brian Thomas Jr. is a thing for the Jags.
Hey, no,
go ahead. Yeah,
they had a couple
rookie receiver.
Yeah,
he's gonna be good.
For sure. And Trevor Lawrence,
I'll let
to be
you
honest,
move on.
but no, Trevor Lawrence, to be honest, in the first half looked really, really good. I think they had a couple things that just didn't go their way, the fumble and other things. But I'm not terribly worried about the Jags. I think they'll be okay. Just happy as a Dolphins fan that they got the win moving forward. Okay. Speaking of other first overall draft picks, right? We go from Trevor Lawrence to Caleb Williams. Chicago gets their first win under Caleb Williams. You are not impressed with his performance today.
They compared his stats to CJ Stroud, and they were just like, I mean, really, what are you doing? Because they were saying like the first rookie quarterbacks to get their win in their debut, and he was one of them. They were comparing his stats to CJ Stroud to do it last year, and just like, dude, no, I think he had like 93 yards passing or something like that. It was just like horrific game. It was just Chicago's defense was awesome, and like I told you, Tennessee, freaking Will Levis is just not a good quarterback. He's so bad. So bad.
I saw some flourishes here and there, but it's not consistent.
He can run the ball decently. He's a big, muscular guy. I don't think he's going to be good at all.
It's not consistent, but Caleb Williams, 14 of 29, 93 yards passing.
Oh, look at that. He nailed it.
Yeah.
Top of my head, bro.
Will Levis, 19 of 32, 127 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So
they just kept turning over. Chicago's defense last year, they were actually improved. They were improving, and I know that that was a big thing in the offseason for them, that they were trying to still improve, even though they were almost like tanking essentially.
Yeah.
And so you look at this year, it's just like, okay, their defense is showing out again. And, I think their defense, especially in fantasy, is going to be decent all year.
Yeah.
As long as Caleb Williams takes care of the ball, but like that, because that can be an issue, right? You have a rookie quarterback, and if he's turning the ball over, it's going to put your defense in short fields, and it's going to be hard to win games that way. But he was okay today.
Yeah, and it's awesome that Chicago got their season opener win at home. But when you have a touchdown from special teams from a block punt, and you have a touchdown from defense, not terribly sustainable, right?
Yeah. No, it's not going to be like that every week. So if he plays like a better team, better offensive team, and it's going to be harder for them to win games still.
Moving on to another first overall draft pick. You were a big fan of New Orleans defense going into this game.
Yep.
New Orleans walked all over Carolina in this game.
Dude, this was like a game where I was like, it was so obvious. I was like, dude, you got to get New Orleans defense. Bryce Young is terrible. He's not going to be a good quarterback. He's too small. He's just too small. He's like 5'9", like 150 pounds. I don't know what he is, but he's too small. He's not a good quarterback. He was turning it over left and right. He just looked lost out there, and he looked like basically he's still in his rookie season essentially. I don't think they're going to be good at all. And if I'm playing them in fantasy, I'm taking whoever they're playing against, I'm picking up their defense and starting against them, because they're not going to be good at all this year.
Bryce Young, 13 of 30, 161 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Andy Dalton at one point tried to complete a pass, but
there's Andy Dalton.
Did not work out.
Strikes.
Derek Carr, 19 to 23, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
So
he hit the Raheed Shaheed. I think that's his name, but that was a nice bomb there. And then Alvin Kamara, like I talked about, man, I put him on the draft board for everybody. Take him in the 5th round. Showed out, had a big game, and he's going to continue to do that all year. So,
moving on, staying in the NFC South, Atlanta plays their first game, and to be honest, I was very surprised by what I saw from Kirk Cousins play. Yeah, and Cousins, I said it in a previous episode that I didn't expect Kirk Cousins to finish the season, and
he almost didn't finish the game because of J.J. Watt.
This game, yeah,
Not
made me
JJ Watt. TJ Watt.
TJ Watt, TJ Watt.
TJ Watt. There's a lot of J's and Watts.
There's a lot of Watts.
The younger brother. The TJ Watt.
Yeah, man. He looked stiff, dude. Kirk Cousins looked stiff. He didn't look mobile at
TJ Watt was
all.
in the backfield all game. He was just wrecking.
Sure.
He was like nailing him and stripping the ball from him and doing all these things. It was just it was a dominant performance by him and the Steelers defense, and that's why they won that game. I mean, Justin Fields, he got this, the start because Russ was.
I think Fields was serviceable. He didn't like light the world on fire or anything, but I think he was a game manager. He was a game manager. He didn't make any mistakes. He got them in the red zone. They weren't able to close any of them, so they scored 6 field goals, right? But nonetheless, great day for your kicker in fantasy. But he didn't do anything to like lose the game for Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
But Kirk Cousins, I think, is a story where it's just like, what is
how long is he going to be quarterback if he continues to play like that, right? So
100%.
Yeah. So I think, if he does, we're looking at Michael Penix Jr. pretty quickly here, starting and like with all their weapons, Kyle Pitts being included in that. Finally,
Bijan Robinson. Yep.
Bijan
Robinson.
Bijan Robinson's great. And then Drake London, it's like all young, talented guys. So you'd expect their offense to like be good. But, Steelers have a great D. So we'll see how the season goes. I feel like we don't want to make too quick a judgment because of how good the Steelers defense is and how good TJ Watt is. But, I think but it was really telling about, how bad Cousins looked, like that was one thing, but we'll see how they do it moving forward. I would give him a couple more games to see how he looks.
155 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions is not going to cut it on 26 attempts, 16 completions.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving up to the AFC East, and this is a strange opener. AFC East versus NFC West opener. Arizona travels up to Buffalo, and for a while, I was like, wait.
Yeah, Josh Allen had like negative fantasy points like the first half.
Is Arizona going to win a game against the Bills in Buffalo? No, Bills came back. Showed why they're the cream of the crop as far as the AFC East is concerned, as far as one of the top teams in the AFC is concerned, and basically wreak havoc. Yeah, and basically wreak havoc.
He did what he does.
Yeah.
It was like
wreak havoc on the Arizona final.
Like he's definitely like one half he can look like he did in the first half. I mean, granted, he had a rushing touchdown taken away because of a penalty, but like the rest of the half he wasn't that great, and then second half he just showed out and he just balled out and showed why he's the first quarterback taken in fantasy. He's like number one fantasy quarterback potential, right, for the year again. So I think he's been the number one quarterback the last 2 years of fantasy. So he is he's a baller, and even without the weapons, he got guys like Mac Hollins and Shakir and Keon Coleman, like all these guys involved, and Kincaid, right? So they still put up the points. They still came back. They beat Arizona, and we did see a kickoff return in the dynamic kickoff return.
That's right,
with DJ Dallas. So that was the first one of those for a touchdown from Arizona's side. So that was kind of cool. But that game was like, I was super excited because I had Josh Allen as my quarterback. I was lucky enough to get him on my team. So I was super stoked. I have him and Tyreek Hill. So I was like, oh yeah, this is good.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. We're staying on the AFC East. And shockingly, I think if you were to start the week off, you'd say probably the Bills are going to win. Probably the Dolphins are going to win. Maybe the Jets. There's no way the Patriots are winning. And lo and behold, the New England Patriots, with Jared Mayo as head coach, Jacoby Brissett as quarterback, defeat the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And like that's the part, to me, that's the most shocking. It's like, where did this come from?
Joe Burrow looked terrible. I mean, everybody I was talking to who was watching the game was like, Joe Burrow sucks. Like, since when does he suck? So I mean, he just had a terrible game. I mean, I'm sure he'll be better.
They'll bounce
next
back.
Game,
they have to,
because they do tend to do this, but last year he sucked at the beginning of the year too. So it's like before he got hurt. So, it is what happened from, 21 when he was in the Super Bowl against the Rams to now. It's like he's had a couple injuries. and he just doesn't look as good. So we'll see. I mean, the only guy that like that was decent on their offense was Zach Moss. My guy, my sleeper. He got a touchdown and he got
He
a
did.
bunch of carries.
44
Chase
yards,
Brown
9 carries. Yeah.
yeah. Chase Brown didn't get as much, so that was he was the guy in the backfield. So like we kind of talked about, you can get him late. He was the guy that I was targeting and had on my fantasy team, got me 15 points, so I was happy with that. So
Yep.
And New England Patriots somehow, some way, with like nobody. I mean, I
AFC
guess Ramondre
East.
Stevenson was balling. Like he was running hard. So like that's who they have essentially.
Yeah.
Like that's how they won.
The AFC East
running the
is the AFC East is one shocking victory away from starting week 1 having all 4 teams won their games, right?
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen because the Jets are playing the Niners.
No way they're going to no way.
But
we're winning.
The possibility is there, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about one shocking win to another shocking development. Not necessarily the Minnesota Vikings winning against the New York Giants, but Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, man.
Showing up.
First time he was like 10 of 10 with like a touchdown. It was like he was just balling. And it was just nobody expected it. But I think the New York Giants are just that bad.
Are they that bad? But not just Daniel Jones, but is the defense that bad too?
I mean, they're just not a good team. They're not gonna win many games this year. I mean, Daniel Jones threw an interception that was just like the most. It was just like he literally like threw a little lob, like lateral pass, like right to the defender, and he walked in for a touchdown. I mean, they don't really, they have Devin Singletary, whatever. They don't got a lot of receiving weapons. I know I was high on Malik Neighbors, but he wasn't even the guy that led the team in targets, and that was Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah,
it's like the receivers is just like whatever. Daniel Jones, whatever. They don't really have a great defense. They're just not going to be good. Sorry, some of the people we know that like the Giants, but sorry.
Daniel Jones with 2 interceptions. Sam Darnold, 19 of 24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
You learned a little in San Francisco, maybe.
You could do a lot worse
for him and got rid of the ghosts.
You can do a lot worse than Sam Darnold, apparently. You know who would kill for Sam Darnold right now? The Green Bay Packers would kill for Sam Darnold right now.
They would.
Okay, so that's kind of in depth about most of the games. We're going to give you our quick thoughts about the remaining games. We'll start with Las Vegas and the Chargers. I was pretty surprised at like the lack of real firepower in this game. I expected more.
Yeah,
I did expect the Chargers to win. Happy for Jim Harbaugh to win his first game back in the NFL.
Congratulations to J.K. Dobbins, man. Coming off that injury, first game since the Achilles tear, just like tore it up on like 10 carries, had like 130 plus yards and 2 touchdowns. He was balling.
And you called it. You said
backfield.
You called it. You said Jim Harbaugh would run the hell out of the ball.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did.
Herbert looked okay. Like we talked about, he wasn't, he didn't look that great.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have many weapons. He's got Palmer and he's got, a McConkey.
One of those.
But he scored a touchdown at least. So they got, got 1 touchdown through the air, but really the heavy lifting was J.K. Dobbins. He looked great and he had a huge game. Congrats to him and congrats to whoever drafted him in like the later rounds of their drafts, because now they've got like a legit starter that's gonna probably could finish the end of the season. If they as they used Jim Harbaugh in the past with his running backs, like I can see him being like a top 10 running back at the end of the year if they keep feeding him.
Yeah,
and he doesn't get hurt. Knock on wood, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So I know there was a game that we didn't really talk about that I wanted to get into, and we kind of previewed it in our other show. It was the AFC South matchup between C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson.
That's right, the Texans and the Colts. My goodness, we totally skipped over that. Let's talk about that real quick. Go ahead.
I did want to bring that up because C.J. Stroud's my guy this year. Obviously,
right.
I think he's going to be AL MVP or AFL MVP or AFC MVP. Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm living in the past, man. I don't know. When there was
When it was AFL.
So, yeah, exactly. So, but he showed out. He had a big game. Joe Mixon comes over from Cincinnati. Has 30 carries, 120, 30 yards. Right, had touchdown. He looked great. Stephon Diggs, their other acquisition, he looked great. He had 2 touchdowns. Nico Collins, remembering his name.
Yep.
That guy had
finally
a great catch on the sidelines for a first down at the end of the game there.
Yep.
And they really played well. And then Anthony Richardson was the real deal, man. He's got an arm. He can run. He's huge. Like that guy's gonna ball out, man.
Yeah. And here's the scary stat. Here's the scary stat. They scored 27 points off of him completing only 9 passes. He completed 9 passes for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. One of those 9 completions was an interception. So 8 of those passes was 212 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Insane.
Yeah.
And he was great, man. They almost it was a back and forth battle. It was something that we're both excited to see, and we talked about it. But we thought the Texans would win the game, and they did. But it was a great battle.
Squeaked it out.
NFC South essentially. So
they squeaked it out. They got that field goal with about 5 minutes left, and that was the thing that kind of changed the game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Dallas and Cleveland. Dak, fresh off of his brand new contract, comes and basically him and the rest of the team do their part on offense, but the defense shows up big against Watson and Cleveland.
Yeah, those Browns, pesky Browns.
Yeah,
the Elves. I don't know. Aren't they the Elves or something like that? Like it was there
a long time ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway,
yeah.
I don't know what happened to Deshaun Watson, but like ever since he was suspended and he had the legal, I mean, he just is not the same guy. And
he's not.
He did not look good. The receivers, he got Jerry Jeudy, got a touchdown, but Amari Cooper, they kind of looked like a little on the sidelines at the end of the game, like, man, this is going to be an interesting season. But
yeah,
even their defense, like they didn't play that well. Like they held Dak to a pedestrian game, but they still allowed a ton of points. But a lot of that was on like basically Dallas's defense, like played awesome, and so we'll see if they can pay Micah Parsons now that they paid Dak and CD. So we'll see if that happens.
Yep. Speaking of Cleveland, they're struggling with Deshaun Watson, and meanwhile, Baker Mayfield's out here scoring 4 touchdowns for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah,
that was a mistake. Baker's looking
and
like he can, getting that, making that dozen. Baker.
I think this is. I think this is a classic example of right player and the right team, right? Because I think Baker Mayfield, had done as much as he could. They gave him everything in Cleveland. They gave him OBJ. They gave him Jarvis Landry. They gave him, all the weapons on, right? Yeah, Don Peoples-Jones, etc. they gave him as much as they could, or not Don, but like, or Nick Chubb maybe, or someone. They gave him, they gave him a team basically, and it didn't work out, right? And so he goes and plays backup for the Rams, shows out in a few games here and there, and then an opportunity pops up in Tampa Bay once Tom Brady retires, and lo and behold, right?
Yeah.
So
take them to the playoffs.
It's one of those situations, right?
Last year, and then this year he starts off hot, man. What do you have? 4 TDs today?
Yeah, 4 touchdowns today.
He had Mike Evans. He had Chris Godwin do his thing. He had his running backs, Rachaad White, and then the rookie running back went off. I don't recall his name right now, but like he looked good. So they're gonna be
Bucky Irving.
Yeah, Bucky. There you go.
Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving. he looked good, like on limited carries. So, just a name to kind of keep in mind for fantasy purposes. Like,
Yeah.
but Tampa's going to be there all year. They're going to probably,
for sure.
be in the running to win.
I mean, what the way Atlanta looked today, what the way Carolina looked today.
Yeah.
Their only real competition is going to be New Orleans.
Yeah.
And that's intriguing, right?
Decent. Like we're looking 9-7. 9-8,
9-8. 9-8, 10-7-ish.
Yeah.
10-7-ish, right? Yeah, somewhere around that thing.
Yeah, that should probably win the division for them.
We're ending week 1 with Jets Niners, but before we talk about them, we got the Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Rams traveling to Detroit. Matthew Stafford back to where it all began.
Number 1 pick, I think, in 2008 or 9.
Yeah. Somewhere around that. Maybe 7, maybe somewhere around that time.
Somewhere around that.
And somewhere around that, late 2000s. And yeah, man, Detroit, I think put to rest any doubt that there might have been that last year was a one and done type season.
Yeah.
They look like the real deal, man.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
So they got the running game again. I mean, Jared Goff still looked okay. He had a couple of big plays. For some reason, Amon-Ra St. Brown did not get involved in the game. Like, he only had a couple of catches. But the guy that we talked about, and I mentioned, I said there's going to probably be a breakout player, Jameson Williams. He had a huge game. And so another guy, you got to listen to us, man. We know what we're talking about,
121 yards, 5 receptions,
the horn right there.
1 touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got 9 targets, got 5 receptions. Yep.
Montgomery and Gibbs, like, they're a running team. Like, they're strong offensive line. They're a running team. So they're going to run the ball first. Montgomery looked good. Gibbs looked good. Like, they're going to be doing that all year. And, like, that's what's going to carry them essentially, I think, to the division. Because, I mean, now that the Packers don't have Love, I mean, they got Minnesota and Sam Darnold, like, that's not going to really be a thing. So, I think it's definitely Detroit's division to lose. So they're gonna be there in the end. As far as what the Rams did, I mean, Cooper Kupp, man, he's back. Huge game. 14 receptions, a career high. Unfortunately, Puka got hurt, knee injury, was carted off essentially. Yeah. We'll have to figure out what the status is on him. But I mean, Cooper Kupp, man, in his absence, is back. He looked great.
He had 21 targets, by the way.
Yeah. And it's going to be like that all year, man. I feel bad. I mean, people are drafting him in the 3rd round or the 4th round in some cases. It's like, just imagine if you took him and you're getting, like, basically wide receiver, top 5 wide receiver potential. And, like, he was the number 1 receiver a couple of years ago before his injury.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Cooper Kupp is going to have especially if Puka's out and he stays healthy, Cooper Kupp is back. He's going to be awesome. And Kyren Williams left off, started where he left off, last year, essentially, like, number 1 back in their ton. They didn't even, Blake Corum didn't even get a carry. Ronnie Rivers got a couple, so he was like the first backup essentially. So, like, I know that people were thinking Blake Corum's going to be a thing, but doesn't look like it so far. Looks like it's Kyren Williams backfield again this year. And, with the Rams, they run the ball a ton. He had a decent game. Not the best rushing game, but the Detroit has a really strong defense, so up front. So that's where they're really strong, both on the offense and defensive side of the ball. So, but Kyren Williams will be fine. He's going to have a strong year again.
If you're liking all of this fantasy and regular insight that you're getting from Tossie the Football Greek, and not so much myself, but more so from him, make sure to like and subscribe to the PTW Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else that you can find podcasts. Hit that subscribe button so that you are notified whenever we drop new episodes twice a week for the entirety of the NFL season. Our last topic is tomorrow's Monday night game that Tossie is going to here locally in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium.
Let's get it.
And exciting game. Like, so as I alluded to, I think it's very far-fetched. It's very far-fetched. But the reality is that if Aaron Rodgers and the Jets win tomorrow's game, every single team in the AFC East will start the season off 1-0.
Yeah.
which I believe would be the only division in the NFL that's the case.
Yeah, 'cause Arizona
Making
lost.
making the argument that you know the AFC East might be the toughest division in the NFL. However, I think that's a far-fetched idea. It's I don't think it's relatively even going to be close. What's your excitement level for Jets Niners tomorrow now that Samuel restructured? Ayuk got his deal.
Yeah.
Trent Williams got his deal.
Yeah.
All the pieces are in place.
Back. So
They're
the only
back.
thing I'm worried about is, McCaffrey with the calf. He's
Right.
questionable.
And
I
he's
think
still
gonna
questionable,
play.
right?
Yeah, he's questionable. He's going to play, but they're saying they're an Achilles too. I hate to hear that, man, because it's a little worrisome. It's a little worrisome. But I think they're going to try to get Jordan Mason more involved. They're not going to run him into the ground. So I think Jordan Mason is going to be run because he's looked good in preseason. So I think he's going to have a role on this team for sure this year. They're not going to run McCaffrey like they did last year. They need to keep him healthy. And so I think the way that Mason's looked, he's going to have a role. So they're going to have all their offensive weapons essentially for tomorrow. And I expect them to come out, firing on all cylinders because they're raring to go after losing the Super Bowl last year. So I would expect that they're going to have a good game, but it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like you do. I think the Jets are formidable, and I think Rodgers and his weapons are going to have a decent game. You're talking about Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. I do think they're going to score some points, but in the end, I think the Niners are going to win the game. They'll cover. I know the spread's gone up. I mean, it was started. It was like
what is it now?
It was all the way up to like 6 today.
Yeah.
So people are like on the Niners right now. They're like,
Yeah.
Everything's kind of like falling into place for them, and they're like, okay, we're putting our money where our mouth is essentially, and everybody's betting on the Niners, isn't it? But
I still don't think it's close. I still don't think it's close.
30-7. What's your prediction?
I think I think let's do some predictions here. I'm thinking 28 to 10.
28 to 10.
I think they score a touchdown and a field goal, and I think that's it. I don't even think they sniff the red zone after that.
Okay.
I think Niners have like a pretty lopsided first half. I think originally I said that it was going to be even in the first half, and then the Niners would kind of close it in the second. I think I'm going to go the other way around now. I think they're going to have a pretty lopsided first half. And I think in the second half the game will just kind of. I think that the second half will just kind of even out. Maybe that's where the Jets score their field goal. I'm thinking 28-10.
All right, so that's where you're at with that.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it's going to be a little closer than that. So I'm going to go. I'll go. Niners are going to get 30.
Okay.
They're going to get 30. So it's going to be 31-17. Niners.
Okay. All right. So you got an extra field goal and a touchdown on your end there.
So I think they'll get 2 touchdowns. I think that Breece Hall will get one, and probably Garrett Wilson, and they'll get one field goal.
Yeah,
that's my And then Niners side, let's see who's going to score. McCaffrey's definitely going to score one
if he plays.
And then I got Debo. I think Kittle will get in the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then got one more touchdown and field goal. So I can go Ayuk. Ayuk will get one too.
It's just gonna be. So they're gonna spread the love. They're gonna spread the love. Yeah.
McCaffrey. That's because Ayuk after the contract and all the drama, I think he's gonna get in. So
for sure.
That's my thoughts on that. Maybe I'm Homer, but
hey man, I pumped my fist when the Dolphins scored that 52-yard kick field goal, sealing the deal against the Jags today. So yeah, I'm a homer as well. But it's all good, right? We're all as long as we're enjoying the product, I think that's all that matters. All right. So
exactly.
Tossi's saying 31-17. I'm saying 28-10. Drop what you think it's going to be in the comment section down below. Make sure to like and subscribe again and follow us. Leave a comment. Let us know what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, what you want more of, what you want less of, all that kind of stuff. All feedback is welcome. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to take it, but we're just going to listen at least.
Everybody's got feedback.
Everyone's got feedback. It's
You
all
know,
good.
someone's like, yeah, Emery needs to do an original song, like kind of like like the NFL, like NFL on Fox, with the drums and the beat, or like Monday Night Football. They do like a
Monday Night Football is the best
we
one.
need original
That's a
song.
topic. You know what? That's a topic I want to talk about. That's a good topic.
What's the
best
song?
football song? The CBS
There's
song, the Fox one, the NBC one, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. Yeah, dude. And which one's our least favorite too?
Monday Night Football, bro. You gotta go.
That's exciting. No. I want to save my response for this because I've thought about this for years.
Okay.
I've thought about this for years. Oh yeah, as a musician, like it's been. I think they're all good, to be honest with you. Even the Hard Knocks one. We got to include the Hard Knocks one. The Hard Knocks song.
Yeah, Red Zone. What about the Red Zone?
Red Zone song is good. Yeah, I love that Hard Knocks song though. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I did. I'll leave that to you.
Let's do that. That'll be a topic for another time.
We can talk about it.
I would love to do that. Yes. All right. I said we were going to do a half-hour podcast, and here we are at 56 minutes. It has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much again for joining us. My name is Amir. That is Tassi, the Football Greek. This has been the PTW podcast. You play to win the game. We will see you tomorrow after Levi Stadium, after the final
Niners
of the Niners and the Jets. Take care, everyone.